Thank you for taking the time to begin preparing for a new era for the Jackson County Health and Human Services Department. Please enjoy this overview from Department Director Mark Orndorff.
The first time we did these, the first Director's Corner, quite honestly, I didn't sell it right. It was supposed to be about multidisciplinary teams. It was supposed to be about working together and all that type of thing. What it turned into is me talking about where we get our money, where we get our authority, and the feedback that we got from people was that what they really wanted to hear about is the new building. So for the next 3 series of these that we'll do every 2 months, we're going to focus on the new building, because that's what a lot of people are real interested in hearing about. So today, what we'll do is I want everybody, again, this is partly me having a dialogue with our employees, but more importantly is for you all to start having dialogues with one another, to get to know each other. So we'll do a little intro. I'll talk briefly about the vision for the facility. We'll do a little construction update and talk about some timelines. And then there's a huge body of work that we need to accomplish between now and December 1st, which is our projected move-in date. And so we've got some work groups that we've assembled that I'll go over briefly, but also give you the opportunity to give input to it. And then we'll talk about our communication plan and what we're going to hopefully be able to do over the course of the next few months. And then most importantly, at the end, I'm going to leave about 15-20 minutes hopefully where you can ask anything you want about the building. And we've kind of called this Factor Fooey. You know, we've got some candy for you if you answer the question correctly. But you know, things like people have asked the question, is there going to be a running track on top of the building? Well, that's Fooey. So the challenge of taking a workforce of over 300, we could fill this room up 8 different times, and we kind of have different conversations based on who's in the room. But we're in 11 different buildings and 9 different divisions, all that good stuff. But what I really want to do is talk about where we're heading and why. Everybody sees our current campus as to where we're at and the inefficiency we have, and I sit in this little office and I watch people all day pull into that parking lot back there and trying to negotiate this campus that we've set forth. And I think each of those buildings, and we've got our DD staff and our animal control staff all spread out all over the place. The challenge of not only our clients to navigate this system, but you as practitioners within our system to be able to get to know one another and look more comprehensively at what it is we as a department do. Because as you heard people and the various roles that we play, we're a big, diverse department. So this is our effort to try to start putting a bridge, if you will, to get folks working more as a team. So there's the new building. If you saw the paper yesterday, there are some people in our community that think it's ugly. It's particularly the siding. But I would say just be patient, because once the landscaping gets put in and some of the relights and the sidewalk and the street lamps, it's going to look a lot different. 2, as you may have seen in the paper a couple weeks ago, the parking structure, we've added 2 additional floors to that. Our capacity that we had in the parking structure was 401 parking spots, with 20 of those 401 being for motorcycles and scooters. And I think there's only 2 or 3 of the staff that actually ride motorcycles or scooters. But we have over 300 staff, we have over 60 in our motor pool, and we have about 750 people a day that enter our various doors throughout our campus. So the challenge is, with the parking, is do we have enough? So we added 2 additional floors to that, which will give us about 550 parking spots. We've been working with the Medford Parking Commission, and they will, once we move in, they'll take the area that's surrounding the building, and they will, over a Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday for 2 straight weeks, they'll assess what the traffic flow really is and make adjustments and work with us about the timed parking that's around there. So I think we all come to this to make a difference in the world. I know some of you have heard this story, but My brother was severely, persistently mentally ill. He slept at the foot of my parents' bed. He died at age 50, 3 kids in the foster care system, and he heard these horrific voices day in, day out. And so for me, this is a very personal plight. And 2, I think all of you came to this work to make a difference, and I think we do. And I think if we can remember day in, day out, before we walk into these doors and before we leave, if we adopt this mentality of we're all one paycheck away from being on the other side of that desk, the other side of the phone, I think we'll serve people in a much more compassionate manner. 2, as I often say during employee new hire orientation, is that people often say, well, the system's broke. And often what I'll say is, guess what, folks? We are the system. And so if it is broken, it's our bad that we're not fixing it. I think we're in a unique period of time at the federal level, the state level, in our community, and with the new building, to really look at things in a different manner than we ever have before. But it's not going to happen in DC. It's not going to happen in Salem. It's going to happen with the group of people that we have in this room, times about 8 of these type of rooms. So when I talk about change, sometimes people think, well, he doesn't appreciate what we do. He sits over in that cozy office across the way. But I do need you guys to know that without you, this could not happen. And your jobs are very difficult. And I think our campus has set forth, and our funding from the federal level and the state level has set forth various silos within our organization. But we need to try to break through this as best we can. So I guess the question I have for folks throughout this process that we're endeavoring down is this the best we can do? Is this the best system that we could set forth if we take the responsibility as the decision makers and the practitioners? Is this the best system for client care that we have set forth in our community? And if not, then what are we going to do to change it? 2, I think we need to dream bigger than what we've traditionally been as an organization. Yes, our niche in the past has been the indigent population, it's been the OHP population, but we need to diversify our portfolio, if you will. And we need to think and act, I think, bigger, because hospitals, primary care physicians, the rest of the healthcare system around us has a diverse payer base. We too need to look at that. And with our accounting staff and others and some of our contracts that we have with our CCOs, we have that opportunity to serve the commercial population unlike we ever have before. And so part of that is for us to really drive towards the goal, I think, of being the center of excellence for the services we provide, not as mental health, not as DD, not as public health, but as a system working together. So integration is a big buzzword. I've been at this for about 20 years. The first 8 years of my career was running an integration center out in White City. We had 50 different staff from 20 agencies. We served that northern portion of Jackson County. And really, we had these tenets of no wrong door, multidisciplinary teams. I think people make too much out of this integration thing. I think if we can do things like have our intake areas cross-trained, if we can develop multidisciplinary teams where you have challenges working individually with a family, but you don't know what other parts of our system might be able to offer to that individual, I think we need to start seeking those out. 3rd, I think we need to look in the new facility as to where could we co-house populations of staff next to one another that have natural linkages, so you can get to build the relationships with one another to hopefully start looking at families more comprehensively. 2, I think not everybody that comes through our door is a multi-need family. We have people that come in for an immunization, they're in and out. We have people that come in for a food handler's card, in and out. In the old White City days, we had over 60% of our families were accessing 6 or more of our services. And while some of our services we have identified where there are natural linkages, you guys are going to start finding linkages between each other well beyond what we've even thought about if we start asking ourselves these questions. Are the services that were currently being delivered, could they be delivered by multiple divisions? We know we have a lot of our mental health clients that are also in med management, that are being served by our DD staff, who also have oftentimes one of our cocoon nurses in public health. We're going to find lots of different opportunities like that if we start looking more comprehensively as a system. We have so many different funding streams from various state and federal agencies that require us to have particular SOAP notes, particular assessments. We're never going to get away from that. However, we can take the things that are in those individual assessments and we can coordinate them so that hopefully that family has one coordinated plan of care, if at all possible. And oftentimes we have individuals that come to us. We have RAP teams, we have various MDTs. Many of you are already doing this teaming quite a bit in our community. But we don't necessarily do it in a structured, consistent manner. We have pockets of populations that we serve in a comprehensive manner. So what I'm challenging folks to do is not look at the individual symptomology or the thing that somebody came in for, but look more comprehensively at the family unit. Because we can work with the family's individual all day, but if we don't stabilize that family, however you define family, oftentimes we have those people cycling through our system. So again, I think people make too much out of where people sit, multidisciplinary teams. It's really going to be about you all starting to have relationships with one another. One of these work groups that we've put together has Ronna Lee from Public Health on there. And she's sitting in a work group with Judy from DD, Rick from Mental Health, and Martha from Mental Health. It's over the last 2-3 weeks where we've had these initial meetings, them having that relationship with one another to start learning about what other parts of our system can do and what they can't do. That's really what this is about, and that's what we're trying to do in this building, is get you all talking with one another. Having been here for 20 years, we've never once had an all-staff meeting. One of the things in the new building that we'll be able to do is we'll be able to have the capacity to have 250 people in the room at the same time, so we can start talking about cross-training one another and how we look more comprehensively. So from a practitioner's perspective, why are we doing this? Oftentimes we have people that aren't working honestly at the level of their licensure because they are running around providing case management and skills training work, when oftentimes these are nurses and others that we need to have people that are working at the level of their licensure. So this should allow you to be able to do that. And this will not be a one-time event. I'm not going to submit to you that on December 1st, this is all going to be taken care of. This will be an evolution. 2, you're not in this alone. Oftentimes there are other providers in the community that will start working with a team environment. And while the folks within HHS are our initial priority, we've also looked at other community partners, child welfare, self-sufficiency, others that you work with often that are going to be able to be co-housed with us to be part of that team. We need to be open to learning more about the broader community in health and human services, not just our own division, not only our own program, but really start understanding each other's business. And we're going to set forth some opportunities for that. 2, as many of you have worked with clients directly, oftentimes clients will pit agency versus agency. There'll be more accountability for not only the clients, but also for various providers that are working with these folks. And oftentimes I think what we will see, at least what we saw in White City, is that you had this team, you had more accountability amongst each other and with the clients, but you start seeing movement of how that family is improving. They may not improve in your individual area, but when you're looking at them comprehensively, they may be going to school, they may get their kid immunized, they may be going on job search. Things that you're not necessarily looking at, but that family is in fact progressing. So from the client's perspective, navigating not only our maze that we have, but the maze in the county is quite a demand. So hopefully we'll be able to, through more of a one-stop shop, be able to have less time trying to have conflicting appointments. So one of the work groups that we have is tried to work on centralized scheduling. Mental health has centralized scheduling, or a version of it. Jackson staff have scheduling in various areas. DD kind of does their own thing. It doesn't mean that we are going to have all this on day one, but the idea that an individual and a family, as they come into there, they could look at being more efficient of how they got all their appointments taken care of in one stop, if at all possible. And oftentimes, what we're going to see is that I hope that these clients, when they're coming through, they won't have to tell their story to so many do-gooders, as I call us. I think it takes a lot of courage for folks to enter our doors. And I think as much compassion that we can work with them to make that as less traumatic and as easy as possible, we'll be better serving folks. Again, this is going to take all of us. I'm not going to throw out the village. It takes a village to do it, but it does take 8 of these different types of rooms all working together to do this. And if not us, then who? And this really, again, I know I'm kind of overemphasizing this, but we really are at a unique period of time with health transformation, with us being an MHO, with having flexible funds, with us having this new building. We have a lot of things going for us, and we have just an amazing staff that can, I think, are up to the challenge, no doubt. So we have about a 3-minute video here that walks through the building of the building.
Wait, I missed this amazing sound.
We've got some music to it. So on City Hall, we have obviously a camera set up facing towards Roxy Ann, where it's taking a picture a day. So they built it in 4 basic different sections where they put in the infrastructure and all the water and sewer and all that type of stuff, and electrical. So the first floor is about 54,000 square feet or so, and the top level is about 45,000 square feet or so. So it's about 95,000 square feet. We're currently in about 70,000 square feet in our 11 different buildings. So we've got some updating to do with the cool siding. So one of the things that we're going to give you the chance to do too is tour the building. We're at a point where now on Mondays and Thursdays between, I think it starts next week, it might be the week thereafter, through July, we want to give staff the opportunity to come and tour the building, see where it's at in terms of the progression here. But we'll have to shut it down in July because then they're going to bring in all the paints and the epoxies and all that stuff. So here's the lobby area as you walk in. So our thought is to have some type of a greeter function right out of the gate. And one of the things we heard from Deanne Iverson, who we had do a survey of our clients of what they wanted. We had 40 different interviews that she did. And one of the things that was a consistent theme is saying They want people that look like them. They want people who have been in their shoes. So one of the things we're thinking of is having maybe supported employment type of positions where those folks will help greet people into the facility. So as you come in, this is the reception area where we'll have basically triage people that will be able to ask people what they're there for, and then be able to send them either to one side of the building, which will be towards kids services, and the other will be for adult services, because we could, with 750 people and the different types of populations we all have, we can't have commingling of the populations that we all serve. So this will basically be a triage area to be able to get people to and from the various areas of what they're coming into services for. Knowing that we're going to have 750 people coming in, we're actually going to get the keys to the building somewhere around the second week of October. So we'll let the building off gas and do all that stuff so we don't have to deal with all the fumes. But two, we wanted to give the clients and staff enough time through likely the month of November, where I'm going to encourage staff to take their clients over to the new building so they don't have to deal with this huge push of the chaos of this, because oftentimes our folks are very used to routines, to take them over and show them exactly where it is that they're going to be getting their services from. So there's not the chaos that it might ensue. Two, hopefully that'll get them used to dealing with the bus line, how to negotiate the parking structure. The first floor, because we didn't have enough space on one floor to put everybody that provides direct client care, we did have to put some of the folks upstairs, particularly for adult mental health and adult DD. So we wanted to get those folks on the first floor that had the most high traffic of face-to-face clients, but honestly, we didn't think when we started this thing 4 years ago that we were going to be adding 60 new staff. So we've had to make some adjustments. There's the second floor looking down. There's a reception counter upstairs for mental health and DD. That's where our WIC area is. Second floor. We tried to keep it in such a manner where we had as much natural light that we could have that came into the building. At one point we were $10 million over budget on this, so we had to make a bunch of adjustments, the siding being one of them. But also, one of the things that staff really wanted was as much natural light as possible. We couldn't end up doing the skylights and some of those other cool things that we wanted to have because of not only the cost, but then the maintenance cost going forward. But we have tried to keep it where as much natural light's coming in as possible. We have an employee break area that I believe seats 100, 125 folks. In addition to vending and refrigerators, we've also built in areas that are beyond that, where that door is, where it's going to be a quiet area for staff. So if for whatever reason you need to have a quiet area, charge your phone, we're going to ask people that they're not on the phone, but if you want to text, but basically we'll have some kind of nice recliners type of in there where people, they just need 10 minutes to chill out, that they'll have a quiet area in the building. We also have some areas in there, a couple for sick room for staff, so if you have a migraine or whatever and need to go lay down for 10 minutes, and if you feel like you can come back to work, great. If you feel like you need to go home and the migraine hasn't subsided, then that's an option too. But a nice break room that we'll have for folks. So you lose a lot on these visuals. That's why we want to have folks, when you leave, sign up for a time where you can actually go tour this thing, because when you get in and around it and you're walking, it's pretty cool. So Holly Day. So Holly Day is December 1st. Our address is 140 South Holly of our new building. So we're really using this as our branding, that any of our emails that come out about Holly Day, we've got on our employee page now. We've got this branding that will be up by the end of the week. But basically, for each of our employees, we're going to give you packets that really welcome you to the building, have frequently asked questions. You're going to have stickers and other things where you'll put them on your stuff before we move to really kind of get people hopefully excited about what is a pretty cool opportunity with the new building. So it's May, and December 1st is coming up quickly. And again, I try to caution people, we will not have everything resolved on December 1st. There is going to be a degree of chaos that will ensue. We're doing our best to try to minimize that, but we all need to be a bit flexible as we move into this. 2, we won't be able to move 300 people all in one day. It's going to be a staged event, but December 1st is the day we're shooting for of when we'll be, all of us go live on that day. So being that we have this huge body of work, we've tried to kind of chunk out the elephant, if we can do that, in smaller bites so it's manageable. So each of these groups has a sponsor, and then the sponsor will then include both managers and frontline staff throughout the department to work on these various issues. So Jackson's in charge of security. Archive storage, Melissa is taking on that task. We don't have a lot of storage in the new building. And so one of the things we're trying to do is inventory all the storage that we have now and really ask, do we really need to keep all this stuff? Oftentimes we don't. We're also looking at the staffing, particularly around the intake areas and then the back entry data stuff as well as the front reception area. Parking is one of my groups. One of the things that we are struggling with is 550 spaces in a parking structure. Is that going to be enough? We're looking at ways to stagger the shifts so that we don't have at 8 o'clock, 7:45, 300 people all descending upon us at the same time. So honestly, we're looking over the course of the next first few months of us opening, of having hours from 8 to 6 open to the public, but probably having 4, if not 5 different shifts that we'll have, that we may have a shift that goes from 7:30 to 4:30, 8 to 5, 8:30 to 5:30. I think you get the flavor of it. But some of that is we're going to have to see what the actual traffic flow of our clients are. We've taken each of our intake points and assessed as to how many people are coming in at what time and how did they get there. Did they take the bus? Did they walk? Did a family or friend drop them off? Did they drive? So we've done some assessment, and we also know that on average 40 of our employees don't show up each day either due to illness, due to vacation. So we're really trying to do our best to use some analytics, but part of this, folks, is going to be we're going to have to see how it goes. So we're all going to be flexible going into it. Information technology is one of my groups. I'm also coordinating on the physical move, and also me and my OCD, we're going to take on housekeeping. Communications group, Michelle Morales leads that one up. Stacy's working on appointments. And really, again, it's going to be querying what are all those different appointment systems that we have throughout the department, and how can we, when people come through the first intake area, that we're able to look comprehensively at that family and see what all things are you involved in, what appointments do you have. That may not be day one. It's very likely not to be. Forms and documents, we have over 900 different forms as a department. We want to find a way that we can streamline that and also have those in a central area where you as staff can readily access them. But it does beg the question too, do we really need 900 forms? Why are we using some of these forms? Just because we've always used it is not a good reason that we keep using those same old forms. The living room is a new service that we'll have in the facility. That will basically be a drop-in triage area where we'll have our crisis staff located relatively close to it. But as many of you know, as mental health, we're responsible for anybody that goes to the hospital. that's on OHP or is indigent, and we pay $1,200 a day for them to go up there. Oftentimes they didn't need to be taken to the hospital. So the living room is basically going to be a drop-in crisis center of sorts, where we can assess them, triage them, give them a little food, have somebody nice to talk to them, maybe shower them up, and then see what other supports they have available to them to try to deter them from going up to the hospital. If they need to go, great, but oftentimes folks just need a place to chill out for a bit. So we'll have the ability to give them some food, we'll have a shower in there. It's basically a living room for some of our clients to drop into. Child Watch, we're looking at having on-site child care drop in, kind of like the Fred Meyer approach, where if you need to drop off your kids for a short period of time while you take care of your appointment, or you go take your kiddo to one appointment, maybe the other 2 kids, you can drop them off in child care or Child Watch, that's an option. Snoozeland is a sensory room primarily for kids with autism, and any of you that saw the Extreme Home Makeover with the McPhail family, this will be really the first sensory room that's available in the nation to the public, regardless of income or anything else. That we've got a not-for-profit called Families for Community that's going to help staff it. Asante gave us $100,000 to buy the equipment, but we have about 1 in 48 males born in Oregon is on the autism spectrum in some form or manner. It's about 1 in 88 for both sexes. So we didn't want to look at not only what our needs are now, but what are the needs in our community going forward. And this is unfortunately a growing need in our community, so we're pretty excited to have that. Portland, up in Providence Hospital, they've got one, but it's only for their kids that are in there. I think there's going to be lots of opportunities for particularly kids that have been sexually assaulted and other things in mental health to be able to then have them in a safe environment and open up in that sensory deprivation or sensory room. Okay, so communication plan. So the single biggest problem in communication is the illusion that it's taken place. I'm certainly a victim of this and have perpetuated this. And we're trying to create as many opportunities for us over the course of the next 6 months to be able to have ongoing dialogue with our employees. So this is one form of doing that, but we also have on our employee page, if you go up under HHS employee, we're going to start updating this a whole lot more regular. So, and with also then the holiday logos right here, or will be on Friday, where if you weren't able to make a session like this, we'll be able to put those links up there. We're also going to have short little, hopefully 3 to 4 minute clips where we're wanting to do 3 things. We're wanting to, one, just update you about every 2 weeks as to what's going on with the building. We want to provide a little bit of an education about some division within our department, so you can start learning about what Mental Health 101 is, DD 101, Public Health 101, with eventually us then drilling down into individual programs. But then every 2 weeks, we'll do these little clips, and then I'll answer the top 5 questions that were submitted by staff. So at least even if I don't know the answer to it, at least you feel like you're part of this dialogue so that we're all in this together. So Director's Corner will continue to do this every 2 months, and it'll be just about the building. That's all we're going to focus on. Once we get in the building, Director's Corner will still happen, but we'll probably change the flavor of it. But this is the big thing that we're all trying to prepare ourselves for. The employee page. Next Monday, we're going to send out a survey to all the employees, asking a few questions that are, what are those concerns you have? It'll come from an email from me initially, but then ongoing, it's going to come from Holiday, will be the link off of the survey. And again, we are going to give confidential ways if you want to give us feedback. I hope you don't feel like you need to use that, but if you do, we're going to avail that opportunity for you. We just need to know what it is that you're concerned about so we can try to address it. I can't fix something if I don't know what the issues are. So please, give us as much information and feedback along the way. So the mini clips I talked about, and we're also going to have some listening posts that will be some form or manner of a brown bag lunch where you can hear us, you can vent about what it is that's going on. Also, we're going to have some individual sessions, if you will, that we're looking at of having people be able to talk about the building. Again, I know for about a third of our employees, regardless of what we do, regardless of how much information we give to you, that this change is unsettling. But I'm going to try to give you as many opportunities to engage and get the right information. So hopefully by the time we move in, we're all kind of getting more at peace with this. And oftentimes I think it's not the building necessarily that people are concerned about, but that's what's manifesting. It's really about this whole issue of change, and we're asking people to do a lot of different work than we have asked them historically. So before we did a big campaign to the community, first we wanted to make sure our employees knew what was going on. So in the next couple months, we'll start doing more and more of this rolling out of the building, what's going on our website. We'll start doing series on up close. And then 2, we want to arm you all with the information, the right information about what's going on with the building. So this is the question and answer portion of it. So let's do it a little bit differently this time.
Yeah, how do you want to?
So we have candy, which for those public health people, I should probably bring apples or something so we provide a healthy alternative. That's fine, we can turn on.
Sorry, I should have prepared with that.
Just pretend it's sugar-free.
Yeah. So you ask a question, and then I'm going to throw you either a fact or phooey so that we can answer some of these things. But really, this is your time. Initially, I'd like to talk about just the building and focus the questions on that. But if we have other time and you want to hear and ask anything else, this is really your time. So, questions you may have. I'll try not to hit anybody. Anything. Wow, you're a long ways away. Maybe just say who you are so people know.
My real name?
If you want to ask on behalf of a friend, that's fine too.
My name's Sherry Sheldon. I was born in Costa Rica. So this isn't really about team building, so I don't want to get off track too much. But I'm wondering, are there going to be some kind of signs in waiting rooms? Because a lot of our patients we see once a year, and already they will not be seeing us again until we're in the new building. So when are we starting that communication?
It is a great question. And this isn't just about team building. This is really for your time to ask anything about the building. We have talked about it in the communications group. I don't know why I stopped there. This big, vast area of questions, that's where they go. They go to die. Let's give you some candy. Oh, sorry, Sally. So, we've just landed on the December 1st date of our move-in. So now what we've done is try to back up from each of those almost month by month, and now we're forming these different groups. So each of these groups we will have, of those 11 or so that I put up there, each of them will put periodic updates that you all can go in and see what's going on. 2, we asked you a lot of questions over the last couple of years as to what do you think, and oftentimes we didn't get back to you. We have all of those things categorized, and then each of us as sponsors has at least a page, if not multiple pages, of what are the questions that staff had asked us. So now, as some groups have met, communications groups met, your group on security met, we didn't want to get too far down the road until we gave you all the opportunity to give input or to participate on the group if at all you want to. So part of this is going to be the communications team, but it's also going to be part of the intake function of identifying how do we identify not only communicating to people as to we're making this move, probably be a holiday type of a package that we'll put together. I'm giving a long rambling answer to that, I don't know yet. But it's one of the concerns, and please, when you get the survey, which I think we're going to send it out next Monday, remind us of that to make sure that we give good communication to our clients about where we're moving, why, and maybe how they can have a community tour.
Or should we have already started it somewhat, like next time when you come in for your annual, we'll be at a different building?
Yeah, we hadn't thought of that one. And that's why we're doing this, because more minds are going to try to address some of these landmines that we haven't necessarily thought about. But yeah, December 1st is a pretty hard date, and we built in about almost 2 months of wiggle room. So I think we can start telling people that December 1st is when we're going to be moving down to the new building. I suspect people are already starting to ask that because they're seeing the new building and the paper and stuff like that. So, but we should probably give a consistent message across the department. And so I think that's something we'll have to, as the communications group, take on, even if it's just a one-page little flyer that we start handing out. So we'll make sure we do that. Is that the right candy you wanted?
This is perfect. Awesome.
Yeah. Who you're with and.
When do you anticipate having somebody on board from supported employment to be a greeter?
Excuse me, I didn't hear your question.
Oh, I said, when do you anticipate having somebody on board from supported employment to fill a position as a greeter?
Don't know.
I've got her job already.
Yeah.
And would supported employment be able to cover for like a daycare?
Possibly. Yeah, we've talked about the intake, the greeter function, and then we've also even talked about possibly some mail functions potentially around the building. Two, we have a motor pool about 60, 65 of, is there enough body of work there where maybe we take one of our clients that's higher functioning that can maybe wash up the cars, go fuel them, clean them out. So I think there's going to be lots of opportunity for us to look at that.
Now I think we have 60 participating in supported employment at this time.
Right.
So we're ready. Definitely so.
Okay, next question. You can't have two questions
What
yet.
is support employment? Can you just-
Oh, okay. This is your time to shine. Let's support employment.
Well, supported employment is a fairly new program, and we have folks with disabilities that have expressed interest in wanting to return to work, and we work with the individual in their capacity to get them employed competitively in the community and maintain supports to keep people happy employed.
Nice.
So mental health has a pretty robust support employment program. DD, a couple of our providers have real strong living opportunities, in particular, and Goodwill have strong VOC DD support employment programs. But that doesn't mean we can't try to coordinate some of those support employment programs between those two divisions and see what opportunities we can make for both those populations in the building. Great. Yes,
You mentioned the word daycare. Is that for the clients or for the employees?
it's for the clients.
Dang, I wanted to bring my granddaughter.
Phooey. Man, having a problem with the Laffy Taffy. Maybe I didn't sell what it was. Yeah.
Are there going to be, for the cars, the county cars, are they going to be having their numbers so it'll be easier to find your car? No, I'm saying,
Yeah.
you do have to walk all around the buildings and there'll be even more county cars there, I imagine, so.
So-
But you have a numbered spots, so you know where to find that car?
Yeah, we have to, by city ordinance, we have to have a certain number of them marked certain ways. We had initially, when we had 401 parking spots, we had identified 13 for handicap. Now that we've expanded that additional 150 parking spots, I think we're all of the mindset that we need to add more handicap parking in that first level. There's also then the marking for the bikes. We'll have an employee bike barn and a shower. We have 2 showers and lockers in the building for any of those that may decide to bike to work. But they'll be marked. I think initially what we're thinking is that, and we're going to have this work group about parking, but we want to have our motor pool on probably the top level and employees parking at the top level so that the lower levels are for our clients that are coming through. We're also going to wrap the parking structure. If you go look at it now, it was built in such a way that I think there are 8 different cables between each of the pillars. Excuse me. And it's basically a ladder for kiddos. So we're going to have that wrapped in some type of fencing to make sure it's safe for our kids. If, we all have runners at times. But we will mark also probably parking spots. We're questioning whether or not we may solicit Diamond Parking, who does the monitoring for the city of Medford. Because that's really, we're going to have to kind of see how that goes, and whether or not the 550 parking spots is enough. Are those about 100 parking spots that are adjacent to us? Is that enough? And what they, at least they told us when we met with them initially, it's not necessarily the enforcement piece, it's the perception of enforcing, so that we don't get the city employees parking there and the rest of the folks from downtown parking in our parking structure. But I anticipate we'll at least have staff that will have some type of a sticker, so we note that. We do have the ability, if we so choose, down the road to, we have it where there's electrical there in case we want to put the gate and all that, but I hope we don't have to go there. But I think part of that's going to be part of the work group that will have to really gnash our teeth around parking with that parking subgroup. Which one? Okay. Yeah.
So if the skylights then weren't included because of the budget, how come the windows are so small?
I know.
Go ahead.
Money.
It was a
Smaller
money.
windows.
It was a money issue. That when we were looking at adding 60 mental health staff and expanding and adding the 11,000 square feet, we really had to take any of these amenities, and my goal was to make sure we had enough space so that we could have our staff and our future staff for hopefully the next 10 years. And some of that was having to make some of the cool stuff is not as cool anymore.
Yeah, no hot tub in there.
There's no hot tub, no disco. I'm dating myself by saying the word disco, but yeah. So, yeah.
Just a general observation, I'm a participant at St. Mark's, and we have a lot of transients that find cubby holes to sleep around. Have you observed the building and how many cubby holes they might find so they can sleep?
So we had a security consultant look at the building as we were early in on it to try to deal with some of the transit issues, some of the various active shooter scenarios that might occur. So I'm going to go off on just kind of safety in general. So in my 20 years of being here, and the first 7 or 8 doing more direct service stuff, home business and other things, the population that we're serving now seems to be so much more violent. And so this notion of in the old days when we were trying to take away as many barriers as possible to try to be able to have more of an equal playing field for folks, I think we've had to make some adjustments. So in each of our intake areas, we're going to have what will look like bulletproof glass, but it's not. But they're basically going to be recessed glass where you have the illusion of it being open and friendly, but yet our staff can feel safe. They will be safe behind those. So I think they're set back 2-3 inches. The district attorney's office and the county administrator's office have those, but that's what we'll be putting in there, at least for the front intake area. We're also exploring the idea, I don't know why I keep going back to this slide, of having in our intake areas a security guard that might be in the entryway. We've been talking with Medford Police Department and the Sheriff's Department about the potential of, they have rangers and explorers and basically community service officer type folks. But my concern with that is I don't want to have an overzealous wannabe cop as the first person that they encounter when they come through the building. Also, we're going to have all the law enforcement folks from MPD and Sheriff's Department tour the building before we open so that they kind of get a feel for where different parts of the building are. We also will have security cameras in portions of the parking structure and part of our intake areas. But security cameras, the only thing they do is help you learn from what went wrong afterwards.
Or you have a picture in case something did happen, you have a picture.
It will deter some people from making poor choices. But also, we will have a new phone system that will be in the new building. So the new phone system will give us all kinds of different ability to have a true code blue or code whatever we want to have in terms of alerting staff in your area and staff in the whole building that we've got an event going on and that we need to take appropriate action. But a lot of that's going to be a lot of training that we're going to have to do with staff. I know Jackson's starting to wrestle with some of those things on the security. But
We've got a group, we're just started, but we're looking into all these areas.
it doesn't hurt that we're going to have the MPD right behind us there as well. And we've talked with the Sheriff's Department and with MPD that would they be willing to have their officers when they're either starting their shift or ending their shift, just to make a little loop, just to have the visibility, again, to try to deter people. But as the consultant told us, no matter how much you try to engineer it in terms of cameras, security, if somebody's going to make a poor choice, there's only so much we can do.
So on that same note then, what is the physical visibility going to be like when entering and leaving, especially the parking lot and the parking structure at night or in the early morning hours? Is it going to be well lit? Is there, like, are you going to have, how is that going to work for staff?
Yeah. So it is going to be very well lit, and 2, after hours, if for whatever reason somebody need to go in very late, there'll be motion activated lights that will turn on so that, again, if we told the law enforcement folks that if you see a light on after hours, what the hell's going on there? And have them buzz through and take a tour and see what's going on. There will be 2 elevators in the parking structure. It's well lit, it's open. I know that, again, that was one of those big issues that staff were very concerned about, the safety of the parking structure. And we tried to do the best we could with it, but it's going to be well lit. It's going to be wrapped, so it'll be secure. It'll have those lights that come on after hours. I think a lot of it, though, is just us going to all need to adjust a little bit. We talked about with that security position up front, for staff that didn't feel safe after hours, could they walk people to and from? I know the district's attorney office, after they had the bombing incident, that they've had folks actually from the Sheriff's Department come over for staff that were concerned to walk them to and from their car. So I think that's the other thing, that we have a unique opportunity once we're kind of an island in and of ourselves over here, but once we get downtown, next to the courthouse, next to MPD, next to the jail, we probably have some opportunities to try to solicit their help in addressing some of these safety issues. So a couple more questions, anything? Let's just pass those around so everybody can have some if you want. No other questions? Marco, you got something? I see you.
Okay. I guess in regards to the safety issue and stuff, working both in the crisis and case management, is there going to be, I guess, how many entrances and exits are there going to be?
Good question.
In case if someone, needs to be escorted out by police, we're not taking them out the front doors in front of everyone, like, since we're going to be so close. So
Right.
it's better for PD.
Great question. So we designed it by design of having the crisis unit and benefit management in the front. Those are the 2 areas that really have the most likelihood where we have issues with clients at times. So we put that there by design, and hopefully if there is a situation where it starts to escalate, we can take them back into this area. And actually there are 3, maybe 4 different isolation rooms, if you will, where we could put a client if we needed to until law enforcement showed up, or we did a director's hold. There, I believe it's 3 different exits around the building, entrances or exits for staff. And also, we have kind of group rooms, if you will, where if you think that there's going to be a client that could escalate, where we have installed doors where you can get out. 2, we're looking at, with all the design of the furniture layout, right now, because it's such a cobbled system that we're all in, we haven't done a good job, I don't think, of setting things up so staff are safe. That we don't put staff in between a client and they're the farthest away from the door that they couldn't even get out. So we're really trying to lay out the workstations and the offices in a way where you as staff can get out quickly if you need to. 2, we'll have a lot of panic buttons with this new phone system that if you do get in trouble or it looks like you may be getting in trouble, we should be able to get somebody to you quickly. And MPD is right there.
We have badges, like will every door we go into be a locked door?
Great question. So, Jackson, help me if you remember. I think it's 18 different areas that we really have tried to secure staff-only areas and staff and client areas. The areas that go into the work areas other than the intake, that's all going to be a secure area where you have to be badged to be able to get back there. 2, we're also going to have to be all disciplined about bringing clients to and from appointments so we don't have people wandering through the building. And I know we have runners at times, and we've tried to isolate some of the high likely running areas to contain how much they can Forrest Gump through the building and kind of contain their running. So that's probably something we might want to go through in more detail.
Yeah, and the security group has actually gone through in terms of there's a map that shows all the key fob access, if you will, doors. And they'll have the ability, when I say that, the technology will have the ability to restrict access to certain individuals, potentially to restrict access to certain times, or to have just basically staff be able to allow to access it. And it's a lot more secure than our current system. And the technology will afford us the ability to kind of isolate areas or prevent folks from hopping over a counter and just running back through a department if that were to occur.
Yeah.
So kind of related to that, right now, front desk of mental health, sometimes staff forget the badge, forgot it in the car, forgot it at home, whatever, or have lost it. And I let people in, let staff in the front door or the lobby door to the hallway. Will there be something like that set up so that the reception areas can let staff in?
I know it'll be part of the security plan because it's been addressed in terms of 1, should your last name be on the badge, for instance. 2 is IDs being more prominently displayed as opposed like I kind of, same as Mark, kind of have mine hanging down here. Those issues have come up in the security group about what we need to do about it. So we'll be making some recommendations back to the transition team on it.
And 2, facility maintenance is going to be the ones that are going to start doing all of our badges. So if you forget your badge, we'll probably be a little bit tough about that to try to get people in the city not to lose their badge. Because right now, oftentimes we'll make one or we have a loaner for the day to get people through. But the more and more we do that by exception, then people will get more and more lax. So we may make people go down to the courthouse and have the facilities folk make them a new badge. And then we make sure we deactivate their other badge immediately as well.
I'm sorry. I had one other question related to the containment room or whatever, I'm not sure what you call it. Like in the crisis area?
Oh, the living room?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, the room like if somebody's isolation room?
The isolation rooms, yeah.
Is that something that's like soundproof? Because right now, sometimes in mental health, we have someone in a doctor's office that is pretty upset. Everybody in the building can hear them. And I was just wondering, for that type of thing, when they go in those rooms, is it something where will be more soundproof? Yeah.
I don't know if that's come up. That's a very good point to bring up, that now would be the time to put some additional insulation in there to avoid that from happening. I think once you go over there and see it though, it's chopped up quite a bit where people have to be really acting out and very loud. And if they're getting to that point, I suspect we'd have an MPD officer there pretty quickly to be taking them elsewhere.
Right now, a crisis team usually goes to that area to find out what's going on.
Yeah. Okay, so you'll get a survey. We also have many different ways that we are giving you the opportunity, both through survey and then every one of the work areas. Somewhere in your buildings, either in the break room or up where you get your mail, we're going to have suggestion boxes to give us input about things you're concerned about or things you're thinking about. So please use all the opportunities to give feedback so we can start addressing some of these things. And again, we'll do these every 2 months, and then every 2 weeks I'll do short little snippets so You know what's going on, and the site that we have is going to have all kinds of information, so thank you all.